What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the PT Cube podcast, where we bring together strength, rehab, and performance. I'm your host, Dr. Nate Karam, physical therapist, strength coach, and the guy who believes your potential goes way beyond what you're currently settling for. This show is all about helping active individuals like you cut through the noise, train smarter, stay injury-free, and optimize your performance, whether you're in the gym, on the field, or just trying to feel better moving through life. Along the way, I'll be bringing on top experts, from physical therapists and strength coaches to athletes, nutritionists, athletic trainers, performance specialists, professors, all of the above, so you get real evidence-based strategies straight from the best in the game. We'll break down training, injury prevention, rehab, nutrition, and of course the science behind building a resilient, high-performing body, all in a way that's simple, no BS, and built for busy, driven people like you who want real results. Let's get into it. All right, guys. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning back in. And today, we're going to be tackling one of the most hyped parts of gym culture. I would have to say, very misunderstood, but quite well discovered within the literature, actually. This would be pre-workout supplements. Lot of controversy around these types of supplements on what they actually do, whether or not they're bad for you, which ones you should be looking for if you are going to take them. Well, today, we're going to be kind of breaking down the contents of your typical pre-workout tub. You've seen the tubs, you've heard the claims, and maybe you've even felt, the face tingling rush right before a workout, but how much of that is actual real performance benefit? And how much is just marketing and caffeine jitters? And let's remember, caffeine is a drug, right? So we need to be careful what we're putting in our bodies, but like anything that I do on here, I like to understand the why. So today we're going to understand the why. How do these things work in pre-workout? What are the components? How do they each work together to create this potion of gains, right? So we're going to be breaking down the evidence on 5 of the most common ingredients that you'll find across pretty much any pre-workout, which would be caffeine, beta-alanine, citrulline malate, tyrosine, and arginine. We're going to be looking at what the research says, like always, how to actually use them, and whether they deserve a spot in your stack. So let's get into it. We're going to start off with caffeine, the king of ergogenic aids, right? Everyone knows caffeine is king here. Caffeine goes in every pre-workout. It's the base of all of them. It is what gets you going. So in a 2018 meta-analysis, they showed a small but significant improvement in 1RM strength and jump performance, especially in the upper body. The sweet spot for dosing, around 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, taken about 45 to 60 minutes before exercise. Now, if we fast forward to 2024, we've actually got a meta-analysis of a meta-analysis. So this pulled 9 different reviews, meta-analyses, and found consistent improvements in muscular strength, small but real, and muscular endurance on a slightly larger effect. So what does this mean practically? Caffeine's not going to double your bench press overnight, but it can help you grind through those last couple of reps or lock out a PR when it matters. So for most lifters, that's enough of an edge to be worth it, as long as you don't overdo it and wreck your sleep. Remember, do not take pre-workout close to bedtime. I say this from personal experience. Now let's move on and talk about beta-alanine. This one's a bit misunderstood because it's in almost every pre-workout, but it doesn't actually work acutely. Here's the deal. Beta-alanine increases carnosine levels in your muscles, which help buffer hydrogen ions and delay fatigue. But this only happens after at least 4 weeks of daily supplementation at around 5 to 6 grams per day. A 2024 meta-analysis confirmed that beta-alanine improves performance most in high-intensity efforts lasting 1 to 10 minutes, things like rowing, mid-distance running, CrossFit-style workouts. But for a pure 1-rep max lift, the benefits are minimal. And those tingles you feel, called paresthesia, that's just a harmless side effect. It's not a sign of working. You can think of beta-alanine as a long-term supplement for buffering capacity, not a quick fix for strength. But if you're someone who really is just chasing the jitters, the tingles, like the face is crawling type feeling when you take pre-workout, then by all means, load up on your beta-alanine. Now, moving on to citrulline malate, the pump ingredient. A 2021 meta-analysis found that taking 6 to 8 grams about 45 minutes before training increased reps by failure by about 6%. Okay, so that's like turning a 10 rep set into a 10 and a half or 11. Not flashy, but over weeks and months, hey, that extra volume can add up. Another review from the same year found no significant effects on maximal strength, so don't expect citrulline to move the needle on your 1 rep max. Its value actually lies in increasing total work capacity and potentially improving hypertrophy over time. So, if your goal is more reps, better pumps, more training volume, citrulline may be worth it. If your only focus is max strength, it's not really a game changer. Now, tyrosine. Fourth one on the list here. This one isn't about strength directly, but more about mental sharpness. In one study, men took 150 milligrams per kilogram of tyrosine before exercise, and the results showed no improvement in strength, endurance, or power. So for lifting performance, tyrosine doesn't really move the needle either. Where it does help is in cognitive performance under stress. A 2015 review showed that tyrosine can support working memory and decision making during demanding or stressful conditions. So if you're training in extreme environments or doing mentally fatiguing tasks, it might give you a focus boost. But in the gym, don't expect tyrosine to add plates to the bar. Think of it as more of a mental clarity aid than a performance enhancer. So it could be argued that tyrosine actually sees the bulk of its effects outside of a gym environment, perhaps just for mental clarity or studying for an exam. I don't know, whatever you might use it for. I think it has lots of uses outside of the gym. And we'll talk about later how some of these things can actually be supplemented on their own, and you don't have to find them within a pre-workout. You can actually get the actual separate ingredients on their own and supplement with them to kind of make your own stack and form your own personal pre-workout. And it can actually be a lot cheaper than buying branded pre-workout. Now let's move on to the last one, arginine, another nitric oxide booster. So a 2020 systematic review and meta-analysis found that arginine supplementation had large effects on aerobic performance and small but significant effects on anaerobic performance, especially when taken around 10 grams, 60 to 90 minutes pre-workout. Chronic supplementation over 4 to 7 weeks had shown additional benefits for endurance and fatigue resistance. But when it comes to pure strength, the results are mixed. Some reviews report no improvement in resistance training outcomes. So, like citrulline, arginine might help with more, endurance and training volume than with maximal strength. If you're an endurance athlete, you might notice more benefit. For strength athletes, it's a smaller payoff. So, let's wrap this up with the big takeaways. Caffeine, the most reliable, proven pre-workout aid, small but consistent boost in strength and endurance. Beta-alanine works long-term for buffering fatigue in efforts lasting 1 to 10 minutes, not an acute booster. Citrulline malate adds reps to failure and boosts volume, doesn't improve max strength directly. Tyrosine helps with focus and cognition under stress, no real effect on lifting performance. Arginine can improve endurance and fatigue resistance, but the effects are, inconsistent on strength. So the bottom line, pre-workouts can give you a nudge, usually 2 to 6%. Enough to matter, but not enough to replace the fundamentals. Good training, solid nutrition, and recovery. So before you go to use pre-workout, it's important to decide which of these ingredients, and trust me, there's lots more than just these main 5. It's important to understand what you actually want to be taking in. So don't just go buy pre-workout because it's a brand that you've heard of and you trust the ingredients in there just because of the brand name. That's probably not the best way to make your decision on what pre-workout to take. It's important to do your research and know what each of these ingredients do separately. And then if you want to buy a branded pre-workout, find a formula that caters to the ingredients that you want in your mix. And if you don't find one that you feel has the optimal ratio of ingredients that you're looking for, go on websites that sell these separate supplements and get them in bulk, and then make your own pre-workout stack that caters to what you're looking for. I think it is very, very important to stay informed on these supplements that you're putting in your body, because oftentimes we're so quick to just go buy a tub of pre-workout and not really know what we're putting in our body other than the fact that it says it's going to improve our workout performance, right? Like I'm holding a tub of pre-workout right now that I was reading as I was making this episode. As a lot of you guys know, I endorse Bucked Up. They're a fantastic, fantastic supplement company. Been using them for about 5 years now. I use them for my pre-workout, my creatine, my protein, my greens, really everything. Even some of my vitamins too. And the reason why I like their pre-workouts is because they're dosed very clinically. Um, when you become an ambassador for the brand, they actually make you take a bunch of courses on understanding each of the ingredients, how they're clinically dosed. Every single one of their products you have to understand and be able to take quizzes on. It's actually really interesting how much they care about their brand ambassadors knowing what they're putting in their products, and I really value that. So, for example, I'm actually holding the strongest one that they've ever made right now. It's called Mother Bucker, very appropriately, the mother of all pre workouts. And in this pre workout, I'll read you the nutrition facts here. We've got calcium, sodium, beta-alanine, like I talked about, L-citrulline, like I talked about, arginine, tyrosine. So it's got the whole big five in here. Caffeine, you would not believe how much caffeine's in here. I believe it's 300 immediate and then 100 slow release caffeine, which equates to 400, which I'm pretty sure is the FDA recommended limit. So a little absurd, kind of up there. I like the half scoop so I don't die. We also have Himalayan rock salt, and then a couple ingredients that I would have to do entirely separate episodes on to kind of clarify their importance. But really, the takeaway here is that any pre-workout you pick up, you're going to see these main five. You know, your citrulline, your tyrosine, your caffeine, your arginine, and your beta-alanine. And it's important to understand what they are, what they do. There's some anecdotal evidence to suggest that some of these have greater effects than what I described. But a lot of these are case studies. A lot of these are expert opinions. They're not quite yet established in the literature. And again, I only want to give you guys information that has been well established in the literature, that is at this point in time objectively correct. And I'm always willing to change my opinion on these things as I gain more knowledge and gain more information about the topics. But as of right now, I just wanted to put this out there as an informational episode so you can understand what you're putting in your body. Because if I'm going to be recommending these products to you guys, I want you to understand what's inside them and what you're getting from them. So bottom line, pre-workouts are incredibly, incredibly useful aids to your gym progress. Are they to be used every single day? That's up to you. If you're me, the answer is probably yes, because I just, once you get the feeling of a workout with pre-workout, it's hard to go back. I do recommend these Bucked Up products, like I said. If you guys ever want to get any of their pre-workout, their creatine, their protein, any of those products, if you use code NBK32, that is NBK32 at checkout, you'll get 20% off. That is my code. I highly recommend that you go get yourself some pre-workout from Bucked Up. And yeah, just keep in mind, it is an aid. It is not steroids. You are still a natty if you take pre-workout. Same with creatine. You are still natural, okay? So these are all natural ingredients. They're just clinically dosed in a way that makes your performance go up, up, up. All right, guys, that's a wrap for today's episode of the PT Cubed podcast, where we break down all things strength, rehab, and performance. I appreciate you tuning in, and if you got value from this episode, do me a favor. Hit that follow button, leave a quick rating or review, and share this episode with someone who's ready to take their training, rehab, or health to the next level. If you want to dive deeper, head over to ptcubed.com. That's ptcubed.com. That's where you'll find my complete guidebooks on strength training, injury prevention, and nutrition, all designed to help you perform at your best. And if you've got questions, feedback, or just want to connect, shoot me an email at natekaram@ptcubed.com. That's natekaram@ptcubed.com. I love hearing from you guys, and I always do my best to point you in the right direction, whether it's training, rehab, or just building a stronger mindset. You can also follow along on Instagram at PTCubed for daily tips, coaching insights, and a behind-the-scenes look at how I help people just like you stay strong, stay moving, and stay dialed in. And remember, guys, new clients start every 4 weeks. If you're interested in taking on my coaching, contact me either through email or DM on Instagram, and I'll get you hooked up with all the information you need on how and when to start. Thanks again for listening, and as always, strength, rehab, performance. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.